Hi, everybody. My name is Mikey Story, and today, for the modification aspect of the framework, we are going to be talking about look at so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get in here. I mentioned previously on when we talked about augmentation and we talked about substitution. I talked about how great Blicket is, right? Obviously, modification is a very a deeper aspect of it. So we're gonna go a little bit more in depth on how it relates to the framework. One of the biggest things we talk about the critical thinking aspect of it. Something that I find really cool about Blicket. Obviously, we have the live game modes that give you direct feedback, which is really cool, but also, right, the competition aspect of it, where they have to think very quickly, they have to recognize the patterns of questions, right? Because a lot of the time, the cool thing about Blicket, right, they have the questions set up, but they're not just in the same spot every time, right? So kids can't just see a question and just assume it's going to be circle or triangle or whatever, right? So they mix up where the questions are landed, so they actually have to obtain the information, learn the information, and then click an answer accordingly, right? If we go ahead and look at my set right here, so here's some of the questions, right, that relate to our health concept, right? So our standard for today would be understanding the human body and how it works, what it means to be healthy, right? So we got a couple of questions on specific body parts, right? So part of your skeleton, skull. What does your heart do? Pumps blood, right? So this is a second grade, a health concept, right? And so it's just a good way for them to engage with it, especially with a younger audience, right? It's very easy for to create engagement and create competition. As far as collaboration goes, a lot of the games you can set, you can put them in pairs, you can put them in groups, so they have to work together. And then obviously that competition kind of creates more of a rapport between students, right? Especially if you're creating groups at random, which is what the game does. It's very easy for and students to interact with people that they might not normally if they're given the choice to do so, which I find really cool. Something that is also very important, I think, with Blicket, something that I didn't really talk about in the last two, frameworks is they can create their own sets, right? So they can create, their own set. They can create homeworks. They can create study guide stuff. They can import things from Quizlets, which have study guides. So they can use Blicket not just as a tool to obtain information, but to continuously learn new things. Obviously, they have different Blickets for different things, right? But they can create their own. So if you give them a study guide, instead of them just like reading through a study guide, writing down answers, they could put those answers and questions into a Blicket, into a Quizlet, and then import it over to a Blicket, which I think just adds a really cool element to Blicket. So yeah, thank you guys. Um, but yeah.